Welcome to TAP, everyone. We will be talking today about the physics of the mind. This is the title of a new book coming up in 26 by my author, and I'll just say the subtitle is New Perspectives for Psychotherapists, Healers, and Seekers. And that must be us. Welcome back to TAP, Phil Mollon.
Very nice to be here, Mano.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a conversation a while back, and it was so hard letting you go because you've written so much. But today we have a little smaller topic in a way. It's a big topic, but but it's just from one book that you're done writing it, right? And it's coming out beginning next year. Is that right?
It's actually already published. It was published about a couple of weeks ago.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, great. So
Although in the book it says the publication date is 26, it is actually now published.
okay,
Uh,
great.
Here it is.
Oh, you have it. Wow. Okay, good. Yeah, that because I thought of that 26. Here we are, and it's out, and we'll try to understand some of what's going on in that book. The physics
Yes,
of the
it
mind.
it was an exploration for me writing it, Manna. The thought came to me a, a year or two back. My next book should be called The Physics of the Mind. And that was all I had, that idea at that point. And then this book seemed to just emerge organically. And I always find that once I start writing, once I'm immersed in something, some higher intelligence, more intelligent than me, seems to take over and guide the process. And I have always felt for a long time that psychology should be more rooted in physics, really. Physics being the fundamental science. And to be quite honest, I find a lot of ordinary psychology rather boring. But I find the work I do, the energy psychotherapy I do, extremely interesting. And I find physics extremely interesting. Now, I'm not a physicist. So my background is in the psychological sciences.
Yeah.
But for 25 years or so, I've been interested in energy psychotherapy.
Yeah.
And that term contains a physics term, energy.
Mm.
And so that raises the obvious question, what's all that about? It's about subtle energy. And so that's how I came to write this book. And it functions as a sort of external memory drive for me of all that I've studied and thought about in the process of writing it. And obviously, I'm not a physicist, but there is an advantage in that because I've written the book for other people who are not physicists. So I'm not assuming any knowledge or understanding of physics in the reader. But I've been very diligent in trying to ensure as best I can that what I've written about physics is accurate.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that, and that's good to have such an external memory drive and
Yes.
carrying that around with you.
Yes.
But can you say a little bit about what does it mean that the human mind is a fractal of the cosmos?
Okay, so there is this principle that occurred to me, and it's a principle that some physicists have also stated, which is that in nature or this world that we inhabit, there are repeating patterns at every level, from the tiniest level to the most vast. And to put it in very, very, very simple terms, it's physicists would argue, some certainly, that at base, the universe consists of information. And we could define information as anything that one agent can observe. Now, the agent might be a subatomic particle or a subatomic wave or whatever, or the agent might be a human being observing a galaxy far away. We're both observing things, and things are observing us. So the universe consists of things observing other things, information. So there is a principle that information, energy, and matter are all interchangeable. Now, if we think about our brains...
Information, energy, and matter?
Yes, they're all interchangeable.
Interchangeable as in that is...
Well, if you think about the famous Einstein equation, energy equals mass and the speed of light squared, that equation states that energy and matter are interchangeable. They're the same stuff. Mm-hmm. And all I'm adding in there is the point that it's all also can be described as information.
Yeah.
At the deepest level.
Got it. Yeah.
Now, our brains and our minds are organs for processing information. So, we are doing the same thing in a way with our minds and brains that a subatomic particle is doing. It's observing and processing what's going on with other subatomic particles. And if we think about dreams, for example, and if we think about dreams in terms of quantum phenomena, now the thing about the quantum realm, we can't observe it directly. And, these famous, very well-established quantum experiments that show that what we observe, if we are trying to, if a physicist sets up an experiment to observe the behavior of subatomic particles, electrons or photons or whatever, the way that those subatomic particles or waves will behave is dependent on whether a human being, a human consciousness is observing them. Yeah. And you get different results according to whether the measurements, that information is available to a human consciousness or not. If a physicist is measuring which of two slits a particle goes through, if there's no one observing them, they will appear to go through both slits in a wave-like manner. If someone's observing them, measuring which slit they go through, they'll behave like discrete particles and won't show the wave-like property. But supposing there's the measuring device, so it does measure, but then the information it creates is then scrambled so that a human being cannot know. So it's a device has measured which slit a particle might go through, but that information is then scrambled so that no human being, no human consciousness can know. The particles then behave like waves. So crucially, human consciousness interacts with this quantum realm.
For sure. And you were mentioning dreams.
Yeah, so I'll get to the dream in a moment.
Okay.
But the point there is that, well, it's sometimes argued that, quantum theory says particles can be in two places at once. That's not quite right, because the real understanding of the quantum level is that particles and waves, they're not anywhere, because the whole notion of time and space dissolves at the quantum level. Time and space only emerge as we start to observe. Now, dreams, once you see this, it's very obvious that dreams are operating at a quantum level. So Freud's original account of dreams and his account of the deeper unconscious mind was that time and space and logic tend to dissolve the deeper you go into the unconscious level.
Yeah.
And that a dream image can mean many things at once.
Yeah.
And that questions of time and space dissolve in dreams. And once you think about it, it's obvious that dreams are operating at that quantum level. And have things like Matty Blanco's account of the unconscious mind, where at the deepest level, all meaning is condensed into like a point of infinite meaning, like the point before the Big Bang, everything condensed.
Is that what you mean? Is it that also when what we can say is information is stored holographically? Because it's
yes,
into the small thing.
Yes, yeah, that's a related idea. Yeah,
we'll get to that. Okay.
Yeah, I'll just finish this point about dreams and the unconscious. So, and Freud had this metaphor of the navel of a dream. He said that you can keep exploring all the ramifications, the strands of meaning in a dream, but they'll come to a point where you can't really go any further, because it's like a portal into a realm of infinite meaning. And that's the quantum realm. And when we think we are remembering a dream, and I think probably many people will recognize this as part of their experience, there's always a sense that we're never remembering it. We're remembering fragments of it.
Yeah.
Because in our waking consciousness, we cannot remember a dream, because the dream is in that quantum state of superposition, where things mean many things at once, like a bit like the principles of a quantum computer. And then our consciousness selects little bits out of that. So as we are waking, our consciousness selects little elements, little narratives
that we then can remember and
that we can remember. Yes. But that leads me to another point, which is the value of if we are working psychoanalytically, listening to the unconscious, we need to be listening from that state of superposition, where our consciousness is not in a hurry to select particular meanings or narratives from what the client, the patient, is presenting, to allow that quantum wave of meaning to evolve in its own way. And we keep our mind in the analyst Wilfred Bion's terms, without memory or desire. We're not in a hurry to impose meaning or to impose a theory. We're just letting it unfold as it will.
It's really important, and here's the physics to prove it, right? That it can mean so many things, and then maybe it does mean
Yeah.
a lot of things. What the clients are saying and their experience. Yeah, so I'm just getting like it's so different from being an interviewer, and also like you teach and all things that you do. It's so different from that therapeutic room because here I have to like remember what year is the book out,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
and what should I ask you, and try to interrupt
Yes.
sometimes.
Yes. Yes.
Therapeutic space is very difficult, right? Where I have to have this openness.
Yes.
Hearing you speak about that is, yeah, that because otherwise it limits what's possible.
Yes. But you know what makes it easier? There's another principle that I see operating at every level, which is a deep organizing principle. Things are globally organized at a deep level. So when we are listening in that, from that superposition state, we can just trust that there is some deeper organizing principle that allows the most relevant meanings to emerge from the client's speech and from our listening. We don't have to work at it. We just have to let it happen.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Even as a client, I can feel if my therapist is too much in a hurry with
Yeah,
defining
yeah,
and just like, yeah, okay, let's trust the process, basically.
yeah, exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, and even to what you were speaking about with dreams, when there's stuff that there's too mystic for me, and I'm like, I'm not sure. As a part of me saying, I'm not sure I trust this, that I believe this. Then I'll just say to myself, remember what can happen in your dreams. You can make
yes,
that happen. I can make that happen in my dreams. I have very vivid dreams. Okay, then I can better lean into it because it's
yeah.
that's an easy place to access very actually quite mystical experiences. The dream world for me it is.
Yes, I quite often find listening to a client, it's I have the feeling like I haven't a clue what all this is about,
Mm,
or I haven't a clue what this dream means.
mm,
But I find it very exciting, really, just to be patient, having faith in the deep organizing principle
yeah.
that if we just keep allowing it to unfold, it will eventually all fall into place and make sense.
Mm, yeah. Okay, maybe we could go to that question about information that is stored holographically and how that
Yeah.
resembles the structure of the brain.
Uh, yes. So
I think you started to talk about it actually, right? Because everything is information and we constantly take in information.
yeah, 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 um, yeah. And I want to just add in another point, which is
Yes.
about the primacy of consciousness. Um, Now, I'll say something that once it's said is totally obvious, but its implications are really quite shocking. So this world that we inhabit and that we experience through our senses and the night sky and this the physical sense of the objects
Mm,
we inhabit, the planet we're on. These phenomena are all created through our brain, through our senses. And that really, if there were no human beings or life forms like us, there is no light, there's no sound. The universe is silent and dark, because all of what we experience, it's our brains creating this, this experience. So light is an electromagnetic wave, but there's nothing inherently about it that is sort of light. It's as we think of light, it's just an electromagnetic wave that our senses can register and create through our brains the sensation of light. But it doesn't, that phenomenon doesn't exist outside our brains. And another implication from the quantum level of things, the way the human consciousness creates what we observe from emerging from the quantum level. People like the very eminent quantum physicist John Wheeler raised the question of, well, what does it mean when we are observing light from distant galaxies that presumably in some sense no longer exist, although time itself becomes a very relative concept. But light that's traveled billions of years, light that started before we existed, what does it actually mean? Has our consciousness in some way retrospectively interacted with distant events from long ago to create what we then observe? There are very, very profound and mind-shocking questions that emerge. Of course, most physicists do not engage with these questions because they are a bit embarrassing. So there's the principle of shut up and calculate, sort of. Just get on with the mathematics, they work, but don't worry about the philosophical implications. I think that's quite a common attitude amongst physicists.
Yes. Okay. So that was the primacy of consciousness.
Yes.
So that means that we affect the whole of cosmos, or what? Our consciousness does.
Well, it does raise that question, and I think it was Max Planck himself who said, "You can never get behind or underneath consciousness because it's always there." And in neuropsychology, the question often arises: well, how does consciousness emerge from this physical matter, biochemical matter of our brains? And it's often regarded, it's called the hard problem of consciousness. So the easy part is to say which parts of the brain are involved in different kinds of sensory awareness. But the hard problem from that perspective is understanding how consciousness itself arises from matter. But the other way of looking at it is to say, well, that's the wrong question, because consciousness itself is primary. And there are quantum physicists like Henry Stapp who argued that it's consciousness that selects our brain states. If we think of the phenomena of dissociative identity disorder, which in its more extreme forms, you get quite different brain states, personality states, and sometimes quite different physiology. according to which state the person has shifted into.
That's so
Now
interesting.
that makes much more sense in terms of Henry Stapp's idea that consciousness will select a brain state, and it's a global brain state. And I think it's a bit analogous to how on a computer, the desktop of a computer, well, you can have different desktops for the same computer. Different people sign in. And so you can get different consciousnesses signing into different brain and physiology states. And I think that's what happens in dissociative identity states, where there are firm amnesic barriers between the states. It's different global brain and body physiology states that are signed into.
I think it's interesting, even for just having multiple personalities ourselves, multiple parts of us. The difference, of course, the major difference with the idea would be that the amnesia, that we forget about it. We remember and sometimes really embarrassed, right? But there are different parts of us, and how and it's interesting if it even affects our physiology. Okay.
So you're asking about the hologram
yes
state. So this holographic principle arose from a physicist, Leonard Susskind and colleagues. And it really started with consideration of what happens to information if it goes into a black hole. So there's the basic physics principle that just as energy can't be destroyed, just changed from one form to another, similarly, the same applies to information at the most fundamental level. You can't destroy information. And so physicists were perplexed by the question of, well, what happens to information if it goes into a black hole? So if an astronaut or a spaceship traveler throws a book into a black hole,
where does it go to? Right? Does it dissolve? Or what happens?
So we'll probably never be able to recover the ideas in the book, but what happens to all the particles and waves that constituted that book, the more fundamental information? Is it lost forever? And the hypothesis emerged, thinking about the principles of black holes and applying mathematics to it, and thinking about the horizon of a black hole. So the surface of the sphere, if we can call it that, of a black hole. The idea emerged that, well, the information is stored on the horizon of the black hole. So whatever you throw into the black hole, or whatever it attracts through its massive gravity, sucks into it, its horizon expands by the same amount. And so the idea arose that all the information in a black hole is stored on its horizon, on its surface.
On the surface, like. That's how I understood it. I imagined like a book just lying there.
Yes. And then, of course, Stephen Hawking's idea that Hawking radiation was that as at that boundary, that horizon of the black hole, there are, as there are everywhere, constant emergence of particles and antiparticles from the quantum realm. Now, normally, in most of space, these particles and antiparticles are continually emerging. They are continually annihilating each other. Particle and antiparticle, they emerge and annihilate. They're doing this all the time, very, very fast. But at the boundary of the black hole, you might get the odd matter particle that escapes, doesn't get annihilated. The other, its partner, stays within the black hole. And that's how you could get eventual evaporation of black hole over immense periods of time. But anyway, the holographic principle of information stored on a surface, Susskind and colleagues began to apply that to everything. And the idea that anything in our matter realm, the information determining what it is and what it's made of and how it behaves is always stored on a circumference around it, holographically. But you can never kind of reach it, because if you try to approach that horizon, it's always somewhere further out.
Okay.
But however tiny or however vast the space you're thinking of, the information is contained on like a sphere around it. And the idea that actually this is always an analogy, a kind of metaphor, really, because an actual hologram that we're familiar with, it's an interference pattern formed by two lasers that are then stored on a surface, and then when that surface is illuminated with a coherent laser, you get the original image appearing as if three-dimensional. So that's a familiar phenomenon. But the analogous idea by Susskind and colleagues is that our entire universe is holographic. It's like a pixelated space. So the information is always stored out there. Now, that raises the question, Susskind and colleagues don't go into this, but what is analogous to the laser? So in an ordinary hologram, we need a laser to illuminate the surface stored information, and then we get the three-dimensional image. So what is it that's analogous to the laser that is shining into our universe?
So that's the brain.
Well, I'll get to that in a moment, but what I would say from what I've studied is equivalent to the laser is the unified field that some people write of, which is beyond space and time, and it's pulsing energy into our universe through the pixelations of the hologram, and that is creating this matter realm that we inhabit.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
So then we can also think of how the brain is also, and the mind are functioning according to the same principles. And if we take something like the sense of self, the concept of self, that's like a holographic idea, because we can take the surface sphere of that as small or as narrow as we like. So if we take some psychedelic substance, then the hologram of the sense of self may expand maybe to the whole of humanity, or the whole of the universe.
Yeah.
And that can be scary or wonderful, depending on the person and their prior state of being. But in pathological states, that hologram of self is too narrow, too small.
Too small to what?
Well, it's like becomes a very constricted consciousness.
Yeah.
So there was the old hippie expression that I recall from 1970s, far out man.
Yeah.
And that's very apt, because it's referring to the way the hologram of self begins to expand, and it really does become far out.
Far out. Yeah. Oh my God. These are big concepts, man. The unified field, I thought that was more fundamental. The unified field is like the ether, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the way it's been postulated by certain physicists, Richard Amorosso's work, I find very interesting. It's like beyond the quantum level. So we have the quantum level of phenomena, and we have the observable matter level, that's sometimes called the Newtonian level. Operates according to the laws that Newton established. And then there's the quantum level that does not operate according to Newton's laws. Yeah. But then some, like Amoroso, argue that there is this third, deeper realm that is the source of everything, the unified field. So these three registers, and that the unified field is it's a bit like a heartbeat. This is Amorosso's model. There's a heartbeat to the unified field. It's pulsing. It's very, very fast, but it's pulsing energy and information through the pixelated hologram of our universe. And this is how we experience it. Now, the amazing thing, from my perspective, and this is definitely not something that I think most physicists would be comfortable with, but I think it's an implication that comes out of all of this, which is that we can, since we are all built on the same principles as everything in the cosmos.
Here we go. Right.
We potentially have access to all of that, and we are participants in the creation of the world we're in. That doesn't mean that we are in control of it, or we are like personal magicians controlling and orchestrating events, but we are participants. we are playing our role in what happens, and how playing our own little tiny role in how the universe evolves.
And that is an expanded perspective. It's a way to understand your life in a completely different way than if it
Yes,
was not so.
yes, and it bestows on us a profound sense of responsibility.
Yeah. In terms of what we think about, do you mean?
What we think about, what choices we make.
Yeah.
So we are all conflicted beings. We incarnate into primate forms, and we have brains that have evolved from other primates, and we all come with a legacy of all kinds of not particularly desirable qualities. We all have the potential to be very destructive or behave in deeply unpleasant ways.
Yeah.
But it's like we have a choice at every moment, really, which direction to go in, to a more regressive, base, destructive path, or towards a higher path. And we always fail in our
Yeah.
choices, but
It's like,
we can keep striving, wanting to make better choices.
and so there we have then the intention that is
We
really,
have the intention, and somehow the universe, the unified field, I think, seems to respond to that.
mm,
And there's a profound love, I think, inherent in the universe at that level. And I also find that the work I do of energy psychotherapy, it seems to work very, very well for people who are fundamentally well-intentioned and who have some sense of higher dimensions.
yeah.
They don't. It doesn't. It's not a religion, and it doesn't mean they have some well worked out dogma, but some feeling, some sense that there's something bigger in the universe, some deeper guiding principle. And those people seem to benefit. And people who don't benefit seem to be those who either are basically not well-intentioned people,
Okay.
or they have no sense, or their potential sense of higher realms has become blocked for some reason.
I mean, and often it has. Often it has. I mean, even I consider myself a mystic, but like I said earlier, sometimes I can get these thoughts like, oh, that can't be. And then I have to work with myself
Yeah,
because of that block that has been placed on us, many of us,
yeah,
from just culture and group
yeah,
thinking.
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
very understandable, I'm just saying, when there is a block.
yeah,
But that can change. There can be a process that.
yes, 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 yeah.
Okay, we are almost at the hour, Phil. I want to just say one little sentence about your birth chart. So I think I can manage that, and also still ask you this question about um, us being plasma. Um, I just like that idea. So, and like we are of the stars. What is the difference that makes? Would you say that we are plasma?
Um, well, it's been pointed out that the most prevalent substance in the universe, as we observe it, is actually plasma. So it's plasma is a kind of submatter phenomenon. It's not quite matter-like, and it's been argued that plasma itself everything can be conscious, but that there is plenty of scope for plasma to be conscious and to have intelligence. And so it makes sense to consider that we as partly we have matter-based bodies and brains, but that we are also plasma beings, and also we are beings at multiple dimensional levels. And so we are sharing qualities with everywhere else in the cosmos. We have that connection, and that we are continually receiving and transmitting information as plasma beings, as multidimensional beings.
I mean, it opens up for so much meditation, so many meditative experiences.
It does, and there are different. It's like there are different frequencies that we can tune into.
Yeah.
And as if the universe is a multiplicity of radio stations, and we can tune into different frequencies. We can choose which frequencies to tune into and to amplify. And the frequencies of represented by the words love, compassion, gratitude, very high frequencies. So if we consciously choose to focus on those frequencies, to amplify them, the benefits are profound.
Yeah, amazing. It's so important to remember. I mean, I know there are many podcasts out there who's talking about this, but I'm just thinking in our practical life and in our, like you said, sometimes our psyche or our ego definition is very narrow, and everything just becomes so depressing. Like, why can't I stop doing this? Or, the things that just the fights that we have internally and externally.
Yes.
And so to remember all of these layers, and that we are part of something much bigger, and that we ultimately are something a lot bigger. It's really central.
Yes, and we can ask for assistance anytime from those higher realms.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, let's do that immediately. Let's get
Yes.
some help. Okay, Phil, I just wanted to mention, because your birth chart, right? Right now, it is right now that you are in your in nodal return, is what it's called. So
I'm in my what?
it's called your nodal return because of the south node and the north node, the nodes of the moon. Um, they're transcending right now where they were when you were born.
Oh,
So
okay.
17 degree there of Pisces and Virgo, and so it is a milestone. Actually, it's not just one day; it's like a period, right? But just as we're speaking, they're actually right now conjoining to the degree which they are for a little while. So it's that soul path, and so what can happen here is that you get even closer to what is your soul path. I mean, we continually do that, but just that I mean, publishing a book is a good thing, right? It's like coming out with what you're here to do. And in Pisces, it always has to do with some kind of letting go, some
Oh,
kind of letting go, give it over, relinquish what was held too tightly,
mm-hmm,
whatever that is.
mm-hmm. Yes, that's how it feels at the moment, Manna.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Does it feel like that process of
Yeah,
unwinding and
yeah, yeah,
good?
yeah. Hmm.
There's room for something else when the grip loosens.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Wonderful. Phil Mollon, anything else you want to close with?
No, I think that's covered it. Except one thing. Speed of light. It's the one constant that we know of in the universe. Everything has to adjust to the speed of light. Human beings have different speeds of process, speed of mind, speed of processing. My speed of processing is slow. So on certain measures of intelligence, I could appear very unintelligent. But if the speed of transmission of information is slowed, then someone with slower processing, their effective intelligence can increase. So for people who have difficulty grasping information when it's transmitted too fast, so you just finish processing one sentence, but another 2 sentences have come, that kind of thing. For anyone in a teaching capacity or any educational context, if you want to help people understand who might be slower, just slow down the speed of transmission of the information. Break it down into manageable chunks, and then it can be amazing what people can then grasp if the transmission is slowed down.
How does that have to do with the speed of light?
Because everything has to adjust to the speed of light.
Yeah.
So, and it's a constant. So a person's speed of mind is an analogous constant. But time and space have to adjust to accommodate the way the speed of light is constant. A person's apparent intelligence will adjust to their speed of processing, which is the constant. So if you've got fast information, their emergent intelligence will collapse. It can't process it. But if you slow down the speed of information, then their effective intelligence will increase.
It makes perfect sense. Perfect.
So in any communication context, if you want people to understand, just slow right down.
Yeah. But don't you think also that we're different, Phil? Don't you think that we have different ways of learning?
Yeah, we do. We have to accommodate all of those.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good. And I think in our time, slowing down is always a good advice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not thinking that anyone is then not intelligent or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Think about, reflect on further for yourself. Thank you so much, Phil Mollon, for coming here again. Hope you'll be back with yet another thing to speak about.
Thank you so much, Manna. It's been a pleasure, deep pleasure.